Hi, everyone, and welcome to Career Pivots and Second Acts, the ultimate telesummit for mid-career transitioners. I'm your host, Tajan B. Renderis, and it's my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Darnell Clarke. Now, Darnell Clarke's journey has taken him from being an ex-professional baseball player to being a hiring manager for companies like Coca-Cola, GE, and IBM. Mr. Clarke is also a published author of Employmentology, which is a practical, systematic methodology of finding and obtaining employment by a hiring manager. He's now transitioned into being a career counselor, coach, and advisor, and his mission is to help people build for themselves an extraordinary, remarkable, amazing career and teach them how that they can be employable forever. Darnell, welcome and thank you for joining us.
I am glad to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. So we'll dive right in with our first question. So today we're going to be talking basically about interviewing and how, as a mid-career professional, you can navigate the interviewing process, which is often for mid-career professionals really new and can be scary and can be different from when they were interviewing some 20 years ago at the beginning of their careers. So with that said, what are some best practices for acing the interview as a mid-career professional that's transitioning careers?
So the game has changed a bit. If you recognize our unemployment rate is very low right now, it's hovering around 3.9, 4%.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of opportunities out there, but no matter what the unemployment rate is low, it is still difficult to go through the job search process. Interviewing is still just as difficult as when we had a high unemployment rate around 8, 9% for a country. Now it's at 3.8, 3.9. It is still difficult going through the job search process. It is still difficult taking an interview. So one of the issues right now is that most people don't really understand the true cycle of an interview. And the interview breaks down in 4 stages. The first stage is the introduction. The second stage is employer's questions. The third stage is candidate's questions. And the fourth stage is closing. And if you can visualize, understand what you need to do in those 4 stages, you'll do well. So for instance, the first stage is introduction. The introduction is where they're going to always ask the question. And I don't care if it's an entry level position, medium level position, or an executive level question. They will always ask the question, tell me about yourself. Right. And that freaks everybody out because I don't know what to say. So people start giving this general term. Listen, when somebody asks you the question, tell me about yourself, we're not asking personal information. We don't care you got brothers or sisters. We don't care, where you are in the country. We don't care if you're a cat lover, dog lover. We are not also asking for your 15-second, 30-second elevator pitch. What we're asking for is your value add proposition. When somebody asks the question, tell me about yourself, why should I hire you? What's your differentiation? They are always asking you to tell me about yourself. What do you have? What strengths and benefits do you have as it connects to the actual job announcement? So when they ask you the question, tell me about yourself, you give them your value add proposition. Your value add proposition will tell an organization, what do you have? What do you bring to the table as it connects to the job announcement? So example, Darnell, tell me about yourself. Listen, I've been a lifelong learner and I've been an asset to every employer I've ever had. I'm a high say doer. I say what I do and I do what I say always. My competitive advantage, my value add proposition, my differentiating, what separates me from all others, that I'm a person of execution. I have a tendency to get things done faster than most. There's no substitution for speed. I call it speed to business results. Now, while my resume doesn't tell the whole story, mine demonstrates that I'm dependable, reliable, and accountable for getting things done, and I'm a problem solver. That's my value add proposition. Did you hear me say anything outside of the word resume when I asked you to tell me about yourself? I'm not asking for your accomplishments right now. I'm not asking for your responsibilities because most people want to give you the the rendition of your resume when I say tell you about yourself. No, we hire for 2 reasons. 1, likability, and 2, for fitness. I can't determine if I like you if you don't open it up. So when they ask you the question, it's a legitimate question. Tell me about yourself, giving you value add proposition. Right. And then the second stage is employers' questions. That's when you have to determine. They're going to ask traditional questions and behavior questions, right? And behavior questions, the majority of the organ of the marketplace wants to ask behavior questions, which is all around. It is a predictor of what you did in the past, is a predictor of what you can do in the present. The interviewer doesn't want to know what you think you can do. The interviewer wants to know what you actually have done and prove it. And so you have to be able to handle those behavior interview questions by using the STAR method, STAR. S for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for results. And then you transition into candidate's question. Don't ever let anybody say, "Do you have any questions for me?" And you say no. You always have candidates questions. And then from those candidates questions, you transition to the closing by asking for the job. If you understand those four stages of an interview, you will do well in any interview.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Darnell, for breaking that down. I think that breaking things down into those four sections will really be helpful for people to make it more manageable and digestible, the process.
Yes.
They're not feeling blindsided by things coming at them. A lot of mid-career professionals have not been regularly interviewing, so it's not like a muscle that they're working, you know, and so what are some major changes that you feel like has been made in terms of how interviewers interview in 2019 versus even early 2000s, late 90s?
Right. So understand that when you go for an interview, since our unemployment rate is low, you're going against other high profile candidates. See, 10 years or so ago, when you go for an interview, since our unemployment was up, most of the time you are interviewing against other people looking for work because they're unemployed. Not today. We are a job hopping nation. From the
Mhm,
Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average life cycle of a job is only 5 years. Every
mhm,
3 to 5 years, you're going to be looking for a job. And every month, over 2 million people looking for work are already employed. We're a job hopper nation. I don't call us job hoppers, I call us free agent. We are a free agent nation, unbound and untethered to one organization, taking our talents to the whole marketplace instead of one company. So when you go for an interview, you are going against a lot of people. So most people I talk with, hundreds and hundreds of people, either my clients or customers. I ask the question all the time: You taking an interview? Have you prepped? Most of them say no, for one. And the
yeah,
second one is they says that, yeah, I prep for how long? Well, 10, 15 minutes. You can't prep 10, 15 minutes. You have to identify what do you bring to the table, meaning you had to read the announcement in its entirety. Most people get the job announcement and it might take maybe 10, 15 minutes to read the announcement. You have to read the announcement in its entirety and connect either your resume and everything you say, including your value add proposition, to those requirements in the job announcement. And so when you get an opportunity for an interview, most people don't spend a lot of time in identifying those opportunities in the job announcement. And you must connect the job announcement to your resume for what you have done already. Remember, the marketplace does not have money to train. We don't train anymore. We have to hire people to hit the ground running and have little to no supervision and have what they call on the job training. When you hear those three terms, that's telling you we're not training you. So when you come to an interview, you must be able to communicate what you have done in the past as it connects to the job announcement. And if you can able to do that, your interview will go well, but you got to practice. You got to practice, 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 practice. Because when you get into an interview and things start speeding up, your heart rate start going fast, your mind start going fast, you start to forget things. The only way you won't forget it if you have prepped and memorized stuff. So when they ask you certain things, it comes out automatically because you have already prepped for it. So you got to
mhm,
prep more than anything else nowadays.
mhm. And so how would you recommend people get the support that they need in order to prep?
Either I believe that every mid-level career professional and a senior level professional need coaching. You know, we
Mhm.
see it all the time, especially in a sporting arena. I don't care what type of sport we play. You got coaches. Entertainers have coaches. People at a high level have coaches, but mid-level career people don't have coaches. We don't believe that we need other resources and people to help our career go to the next level. What we try to do is go to a job or to a career, lock and load in there, and do as best as we can without getting any other resources. We don't read books, right? The high level professionals at director or level, they read books. Director, vice presidents, CEO, CIO, they are high readers. From director levels and below, they're not readers. And if you don't read to expand your career, you will never be getting enough information to take your career to the next level. Remember this term that a person who does not read is no different than a person who cannot read. We are the same as we are today, as we are be tomorrow, except for the book we read. And so, if we want to take our career to level, start reading books, start going to workshops, start going to seminars. Take 1% of your gross earnings and spend it on yourself. Right, 1%. So if you're making $100,000, that's $1,000 on books, on seminars, on coaching, on webinars, on programs, so you can be better than everybody else. That's the game plan. You have to be better than most people. You must be able to outpace, outthink, outwork, outperform your your coworker. I'm not talking for people who just come into work, want to be average at it, go to work, go home. Your life really starts when you leave work. I'm talking for people who want to get to the mountaintop, who want to get to that leadership role. You have to do all that. And the only way you're going to do that, you have to put more information in your mindset by spending 1% of your gross earnings on yourself.
Mhm. And so, Darnell, for folks who are not necessarily trying to move up the ladder within a particular career track, but who are trying to they've been, they've like yourself have had a history of doing one thing or now transitioning to a completely different thing. Um, what advice do you have for those folks in terms of interviewing? Because they won't necessarily have that body of past experience to rely on.
Yep.
How
So
would
you're
you?
talking about transitioning from one career to another career, not
Mhm.
one job to another job, one career to another career,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
Listen, you cannot get past the applicant tracking system on your resume if you don't have certain things in your resume that connects to the job announcement. And if you do get past your applicant tracking system and you get past HR and you're in front of the hiring authority, but you have never done what they're asking, you're not going to get the job. If you're going to transition, then you have to transition and and get that information by going through doing something on the side, doing something for free, doing internships or co-oping. You must get that experience. So if you got to take a second job while you're still working, I'm not talking about leaving your first job, going to another job. I'm talking about while you're still working, you got to go and find that opportunity. And so what I did when I had to transition from IT, so I was in IT working as a senior leader with IBM and Coca-Cola and GE. And I knew that wasn't for me anymore. I was doing that for 15, 20 years. I knew I wanted to transition into a career coach because that's where all my passion and purpose was.
Hmm.
And so what I did was I started with my church and I started doing career development training, seminars, and conferences for free for 2 years because I wanted to put in me what I wasn't there before. And so I did that for 2 years. Then I started working with organizations that would transition companies. So like companies will get with an organization and they downsize some people in their organization. They hire a transition organization to help those people transition to a next role. I would engage with those organizations free also, right? And
Hmm.
then I wrote my first book free. Everything I did was getting on stages. I was talking to people. I was doing a lot of workshops and seminars. I did that for almost 2 years for free. So
Mhm.
when I went and transitioned into that field of career coaching, I
Mhm.
had those 2 years experience.
Mhm.
That's the only way you could do it. You cannot do it any other way in today's marketplace.
Mm. That is really helpful, Darnell, to remind people of just how much time and dedication and effort it takes to like stay the course and
Yes,
not lose faith or lose hope or get frustrated with that process.
absolutely.
You know, so definitely your story is really encouraging and I think will be inspiring for our audience because that's a really significant career transition. and
Absolutely.
um and I'm sure it wasn't easy to do that, but
Oh no! See, I was doing it already. So every time I was working with Ernst& Young and IBM, GE, these companies, I always had a big staff, 50, 60, 70 people. My job was always trying to help my staff understand their next role, doing a lot of career development for them, helping them with their strengths, helping them with to identify where they want to go in the future. So I was already doing it. And when I wrote my first book, I was already a director with GE, and that gave me the ability. This is where I wanted to do. So I was already doing it, right?
yeah.
And so I didn't stop my last day at Coca-Cola and went and to be a career coach. I was already doing it for 2 or 3 years before I completely said, all right, now I'm exiting out of the IT industry and becoming a career coach.
I want to hone in on one thing that you mentioned there, which I think will be helpful for our viewers, is just how much creativity you can have to build your own skills while you're in a current job, um, to set the stage for your career change. Because you talked about while being where you were, you made the special effort to kind of create your own little niche that would ultimately become your next career pivot, but you were deepening that niche while there, which I'm sure you didn't have to do, but you chose to do. And so a lot of times for folks who are in a current job, they can feel really confined, but there are always ways to still develop your own niche and further your own agenda within the confines and structure of the job. And folks who haven't handed over their power understand that.
That's absolutely correct. And so what I have recognized, and I have a lot of customers and clients. I'm on stages and I'm talking to hundreds and hundreds of people all the time. As you get to a certain age, something happens. Right? Start to realize, you know what? I might have not went to the right school, got the right degree. I might not be in the job or career that I was gifted to do. You have a choice now. I know the marketplace calls that midlife crisis. I call it halftime. You're now at halftime in your career. You got a choice. You're in a fork in the road. You either could make the change and go and do what God has gifted you to do,
Mm-hmm.
or you could stay on that same path and continue to go and just get money because that's what you're accustomed to do. You stay on that path, two things happens. I see it all the time. You stay on a path that you're not supposed to be on, boredom and doldry happens. You get so bored with your career, indulgery, where, man, I hate coming to work. Then you start having blue Mondays, right? Hump day Wednesday. Thank God it's Fridays. I can't wait to get off work. And then sometime on Sunday, midday Sunday, you get this irking feeling and I got to get my mind, body so ready to go to work. I hate that. If you go that path, yes, you would continue to make the money, but sooner or later, your employer know you will not be happy at your job. You cannot perform at your highest level unless you truly love what you do. Because if you don't, all you will ever be is average. And you and I and everybody else wasn't created for average. We was created for greatness. And
Yeah.
inside that pursuing of that greatness is our peace, love, joy, and happiness. If you go to the other side, yes, for sure it's difficult. For sure it's going to take time and effort. For sure you will not be making the money that you made before. If you continue down that path and you start doing things you truly love to do. You're passionate with it. You love at it. And as you continue to grow, you become better and better and become great at it. You start delivering greatness to the marketplace, that money will follow.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I try to teach now. Sooner or later, we all gonna come to it. And you got a choice. Either go
Mm-hmm.
towards adultery or go towards your future. And I hope everybody goes to your future.
Right, right. Thanks, Darnell. Um, and the last question I have for you is, what are some common interview mistakes that people, particularly mid-career professional transitioning folks, make?
First interview mistake I always see that most people don't know your resume. Either you in your mid-level career and you starting to think, okay, I need to go and find another opportunity. First thing happens is that you engage with somebody and they recreate your resume. I don't have a problem with that. Then they take that resume without identifying everything on a resume, and then they go to an interview and you don't really know what's on your interview. So when I say, all right, take me through your resume, you got to pull it out and start reading. That's the worst thing I see. And when I see that, I stop people. Stop. Oh, wait a minute. Right? You don't know your resume? There's some issues. I'm thinking that something's wrong if you don't know your resume. So first thing, you must know your resume. Second thing, you must know the strengths that you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever, ever go to an interview when you know it's not part of your strength package. Therefore, you must spend some time to know your strengths and your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that all the time. What's your strength and your weakness? And you might just blow it off. No, it's for real. You cannot perform at a high level if you're working in a opportunity that's part of your weaknesses. Right. So you need to know what your strengths are and engage those strengths in the interview. Only go after interview situation as part of your strengths. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to talk about your strength as it connects, and I keep drilling this, as it connects to the actual job announcement, you would do very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Then you understand the fourth stages of the interview, connect everything to the job announcement because we are specific. We are trying to get something done. We're trying to hire somebody to get things done, and we need to see that you have done it already before. We don't hire to train anymore. I'm sorry. I know the millennials are having issues with that, but we don't hire. The marketplace don't hire to train anymore. You got to have it already. And
Yeah.
so the only way you can have it already, you got to explain it as it connects to the actual job announcement. So if they're asking you that this is what I need you to do, you have to explain that you did it already with this company at this time and explain it, and you need to connect it. If you do that, and at the end of your interview, ask for the job. That's the fourth stage of the interview. I can't tell you how many people never ask for the job, right? I have interviewed over 300 people. I have hired over 250 people to work directly for me. And only one person has ever asked me for the job. And he's the only one I've ever hired on the spot. All the other people, I took them through the interview process and went through the acceptance process. But he's the only one because he asked for the job. He's the only one that I hired on the spot. And when I was doing a lot of interviewing, that's what I did. That was one of my differentiators. That's your differentiation, that you would step to the side and make sure that those people that are doing the interview will remember you because you asked for the job.
And how do you ask for the job, Darnell, without coming off as arrogant?
No. You need to be confident, not arrogant, but confident. So it goes like this. So when they ask you the question, all right, Darnell, you have any questions for me? You have a series of questions. And I always want you to pull those questions out and put them on your portfolio so they can see the questions. Because when you show somebody an interview that you had took the time to to put something together and you put your questions together, that's telling me you have prepped for this interview. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, okay. And so now the first question you ask is that, that what kind of person are you looking to fulfill this role? Get ready because some place in the interview, they might have told you, they might not. They're getting ready to tell you exactly what they're looking for. And what you are trying to hear, okay, it's a good fit for me. That's what you're looking for, fitness. We hire for two reasons. The first reason is likability. The second reason is for fitness. Now that first question is, all right, I think I'm a good fit. Now, that one of the last questions you ask, and yes, you're going to put them on the spot. Hey, now that you had a chance to meet me and interview with me, what reservation would you have for putting me in this position? Yeah, you put them on the spot, but you need to, because you need to know if you're in the game. So if they start saying, well, Darnell, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this, then you know you're not in the game. But if they say, well, Darnell, I don't have any reservations. We still interview, but you did a really good job. Now you know they think you are fit. Now that you know you are fit, they think you are a fit, and then when that happens, you transition right to close by. All right, Darnell, the last question you ask is next steps. I tell you the next steps is, all right, Mr. Clarke, thank you for this opportunity, this interview. The next steps are A, B, and C. Let me close with this. I am excited about the opportunity that this position will present. I think I would love working here and learning from you as well. Is there anything you need to know about my background to determine I go to the next step in this interviewing process? Because I want this job. Boom. There you go. Yes, for the job. And then you take one step closer by giving people your personal guarantee. I can't tell you how many people scared to put themselves on the line. No, you put yourself on the line. Say, all right, if you, I want this job, and if you hire me, Mr. Clarke, I guarantee you won't be sorry or disappointed. You hire me. So when you go back in the back and you start talking to people, who is the best candidate, think of me, Mr. Clarke. When you start thinking, who is the best person to hit the ground running, think of me, Mr. Clarke, because I could get this job down. And if I could get this job done, and if you do, I give my personal guarantee you won't be sorry or disappointed. You hire me. Hire me, Mr. Clarke, because I want this job. There you go. Right? If you say it that way,
Yeah.
you're not being boastful or anything like that. You just telling people I want the job because I know it's a good fit, because you told me it was a good fit. I heard it was a good fit. Yeah, nah, I'm gonna ask for the job.
Yeah.
Differentiation is what we're talking about here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do.
Absolutely, Darnell. This is really helpful advice. Certainly, nobody will forget anybody
For sure. That's right.
who straight up asked
Nobody
for
will
the
forget.
job. And
Right,
even the
right.
question about, like, do you have any other reservations around my background and experience that would hold you back from offering me this job?
Yep, and that gives the ability that if they do have some questions, you can address it right then.
Absolutely. And that is something that, I mean, a lot of folks who are advising people about interviewing do not say. And it's crucial to dig at their reservations, because quite likely you can address them.
That's right. That is absolutely
You
correct. And
know?
if you do that, that's your differentiate. No one, and I mean no one, is doing this, right? And
Right.
when you come in and do all that, people will remember you. You might not get hired, but man, you're in the game.
You're in the game and somebody will hire you.
Oh, for sure.
That's what they
If
want.
not them, somebody will come
Yeah.
to the interview with that much confidence, that ability to communicate your value.
Mhm.
Man, you
Right.
stand all alone at the top.
Right. Um, I want to thank you so much, Darnell, for all of your wisdom and insight, just given your huge body of work as a hiring manager and career counselor. It's extremely invaluable. What I want to ask you is, how can folks find you if folks want to hear more from you and really resonate with your style and approach to career coaching? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so my website is Darnell C as in cat, darnellc.com. I got a ton of information on there. I'm there on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So as far as social media, just put my name in there and you'll see all that content. I will recommend that you go to my YouTube channel. I have over 65, 70 videos on everything regarding interviewing, salary negotiation, how to find a job, all around how do you craft your resume to get past the applicant tracking system, how to have a active job search. There's so much content there, everything you would need. So darnellc.com or go to my YouTube channel. Everything's there for you.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Darnell. I hope people take advantage of that. And all of that will be available also in the interview notes. So you guys can find that on the webpage right here as well. So again,
Right. I think I also have a freebie, a free opportunity that I call it the interviewing cheat sheet.
Mhm,
I think it's in the notes below. If you go
mhm,
on there, it's a free document. It's the 7 surefire ways to prep for an interview. Half the stuff I said today, that information is already in there. How do you ask for the job? The difference between a traditional interview and a behavior interview. It also gives you the top 20 questions that most interviews ask and the answers to them. It's a surefire way to help you prep for an interview. So
mhm.
if you have that, go to below and click on that link. You would truly love that document.
Right. Thank you again, Darnell, for your wisdom, for the passion in which you deliver it. I really appreciate the opportunity to bring you to our broader audience. And so you can check out Darnell, check out the deets on where you can get his freebie and all the other good stuff from Darnell below. Again, thank you for joining us for this telesummit, and we'll see you again in the next session.
Awesome. You have a good day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.